an important decision. They made it on Tuesday morning and announced it on Wednesday. Professor of Politics Matt Goodwin with this one. I mean, I put it to him, and he didn't bat me away really on this. They've just tried to buy £36 billion worth of votes. That's what this was about. And Sunak paints himself as a man of action. Man of action. He has to be seen to be doing something. So he cancelled something, and instead we're led to believe the country's bankrupt. So instead of saving that money, he's spending that money.
Well, at some point he'll be spending that money, but remember the 36 billion won't really be coming in until the late 2020s. So voters up there in the north of England are not going to feel this aim on this side of the election. They're probably really not even going to start seeing this until the end of the current decade. Now, Rishi Sunak's team will tell you that this is about projecting the theme of change and bravery and taking on tough decisions. But remember that big pledge in 2019 to level up those northern areas. This has sort of just blown that apart. I mean, it gives Labour an enormous open goal at their conference to say, well, what about the north of England and when is this stuff going to happen?
Pub quiz question. Who wrote this? No HS2 equals no ambition for our country just when the whole world is looking at us. Now is the time to be ambitious.
Rishi Sunak?
Jeremy Hunt.
OK.
This was a couple of years ago. Rachel Reeves, who's the Shadow Chancellor, has retweeted it going, how's it going, Jeremy? Is this an unambitious decision from the fact that David Cameron and Boris Johnson, two recent Conservative Prime Ministers, have come out and criticised Rishi for it? As you say, it's not a popular move with lots of people. His own predecessors don't approve. What's the gamble? Is it so he can make a tax cut ahead of the next elections? There's a bit of a saving there.
Well, firstly, there is no room for manoeuvre when it comes to the money in the country's bank account. You know, we have got, just people might not be aware of this, we are paying £8 billion a month just servicing the national credit card, just paying our debt. So that gives you a sense of just how much pressure the Treasury is under. So tax cuts certainly won't be forthcoming. This frees up 36
But he had 36 billion quid, which he could have done something with against
36 billion. He says he's going to throw it into those northern rail lines from east to west, rather north to south. But, you know, what struck me about this conference, and I was there for much of it, the biggest issue in the country is the cost of living crisis. The second biggest issue is the National Health Service. And the third biggest issue is immigration. We've come out of a conference talking about a rail line to northern England and a smoking ban.
Yeah.
So the Conservative Party, to me, just sort of seems like it's completely adrift from where the average voter is, saying, I need some help with the NHS.
Does Sunak need help? It's interesting, you know, where he was trying to paint himself as a man of action. He changes things. He's not just all talk. He's going to do things. He's not like Keir Starmer. He's not going to flip-flop. And you put that to the voters, what do they say?
Well, it's not looking good for Rishi Sunak at the moment. Only last week, Eamon, his leadership ratings hit the lowest level since he's become Prime Minister. The Conservatives are still, on average, about 15 points behind the Labour Party. So that suggests we're still heading into either a Labour majority government or some kind of Labour-led coalition in a kind of hung parliament. So what number 10, and look, I'm bouncing messages with people in and around number 10, what they're saying is between now and Christmas, as voters begin to tune into Sunak making these difficult decisions, they'll start to reassess his premiership. That's the big hope. Whether or not voters out there and the viewers at home begin to reassess Rishi Sunak, we'll have to wait and see.
Do you think he got any political credit by, we're told, the surprise appearance of his wife? I don't know if I buy it or not. But, you know, it worked for the Obamas. Michelle Obama was a huge electoral asset for President Obama. She made speeches everywhere she went. Was it the same, do you think, for Rishi? I
think it's a little bit awkward with the Sunaks because we've also got the non-dom tax issue that is still kind of swirling around the family. There is still a question around whether everyone in the Sunak household pays the same amount of tax as the people that they're imposing taxes on. I'm not entirely convinced also voters really read too much into the sort of the marriage factor. When I was at Manchester, I would say, though, that all of the energy there was outside of the mainstream leadership of the Conservative Party. The energy was around, what is Liz Truss saying? What are the Trussites saying? The energy was around, well, what's Nigel Farage doing? Walking through the conference centre, being, you know, followed by lots of people. Where's Boris? What's he up to? The energy was just not with Sunak. The energy was with a lot of other people
Matt, are you saying that Liz Truss would have any serious chance of making a comeback?
No, I don't think so, Eamon, but the intellectual and the philosophical ideas that underpin Truss, which is we can't go on with the highest tax burden since the Second World War. We can't go on with low growth, big state politics.
So who of the
Those
leadership
ideas,
contenders
I think, will
pin their flag to that mast?
Well, I think we're probably going to be seeing a lot of people, if the Conservatives lose the next election, we're going to be seeing a lot of people go for this. There's going to be, on the right of the party, Suella Braverman will almost certainly go for it. Kemi Badenoch will go for it. Let's see what comes out of the new Conservatives, the kind of the Danny Kruger, Miriam Cates, Lee Anderson kind of group. Then you've got the Penny Mordaunt's who will try and say, well, let's bring the party together. Let's go back to the middle. Let's do all of that. What is clear is this is a party that is heading into a really big battle over what it is and what it believes. And that battle, I think, has only just started.